So if you estimate 1 or 2 times, would this be your 3rd time?
By that estimation, yes.
Okay, so it's not by my estimation, though, it's by your estimation, and you would know better than me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the 3rd time in your career that you've testified on a criminal trial on the issue of lack of criminal responsibility. Is that correct?
I know there are other times that I've created opinions.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm not sure how many.
I'm just asking about criminal responsibility. That's it.
I'm talking about criminal responsibility. And I know there are other times I've created opinions, but I'm not sure that I've testified about them in the courtroom.
So my question was simply, how many times have you testified in court on criminal cases regarding the issue of lack of criminal responsibility, and this would be your 3rd time, right?
That is my recollection.
Okay. And you have testified in court on behalf of various governmental agencies on other matters in addition to criminal responsibility, correct?
Yes.
And you are operating under the umbrella, if you will, of the Park Dietz conglomerate of a lot of expert witnesses that, as I understand, would parcel out cases to different people. Is that right?
There are times that I do cases through Park Dietz and Associates. I can't speak to how many experts they have and exactly how they, as you put it, parcel things out. But over the span of my career, there have been times that I've done it when cases have been presented through Park Dietz and Associates, and times that I've done it through other entities. As I discussed the other day, I had a role for the state of Maryland, and at times, and in this case, there was a criminal responsibility trial that I was a part of when I had a role for the state of Maryland. So going throughout my career, it's been multiple different entities.
You've also testified, since we're talking about it, in the state of Pennsylvania, right?
What's your question?
You've also testified, since we're talking about it, in the state of Pennsylvania, right?
I believe I have.
Was that at Park Dietz, or was that you individually, or one of your other entities?
You'd have to specify which case.
Commonwealth versus Torres, 342 MAL 2021, Pennsylvania.
Can you cite that case again, please?
Sure. Commonwealth versus Torres, 342 MAL 2021, Pennsylvania, where the court held that that would be Abram Mack, was apparently certified only in child and adolescent psychiatry. You lacked forensic certification to testify in the field that you were ostensibly going to testify in. Does that refresh your memory?
No.
Did you testify in? Did you testify in Commonwealth versus Torres in Pennsylvania?
I don't remember.
How about Commonwealth versus Carter in New Jersey? You remember that one?
No.
Do you recall that the court held on an appeal that you used an approach that fell below the standard of forensic practice?
No.
How about Feder LeBron versus the Secretary of DCF, 710 Fed 3rd, 1202 in Florida? You remember that case, I'm sure, right?
I do.
And in Feder, there was a gentleman, Mr. Feder LeBron, who was a Navy veteran, who was a single father and had a child. And he was a member or a person that was able to get benefits from what's called TANF, T-A-N-F, Temporary Aid to Needy Families. You remember that?
I do.
And the state of Florida decided that because needy families consisted of either minorities or drug users or people that would not be reliable to work in the confines of working underneath the TANF, so they wanted to have blood testing and drug testing of all the people that were temporary aid to needy families, right?
That's your conception of what was happening with that.
Well, it's my conception from reading the case, sir. Do you agree, sir, that TANF is an acronym for Temporary Aid to Needy Families?
Yes, it is.
Do you agree, sir, that this gentleman, Mr. Federer LeBron, was a plaintiff in a lawsuit against the state of Florida?
Yes.
Do you agree, sir, that it was in federal court?
Yes.
You agree, sir, that in federal court, the court held that, in fact, you were unqualified to give an opinion that you attempted to give, saying that it was perfectly appropriate to test by way of urine or blood people that are benefiting from the TANF program, because your testimony was that they belong to a class of people that, I guess, had to be tested. Right?
I don't agree with your conceptualization.
Okay. So the court ultimately ruled that your argument, your testimony on behalf of the state of Florida, the government, and you indicated that TANF benefits, applicants for TANF were people that were involved with drug use, violence, and higher rates of suicide. Remember those words, those three words?
The testimony that I provided.
Do you remember testifying, sir, about the people that are the beneficiaries of the TANF program, people that need aid because of needy families, are people that should be tested by way of blood or urine? And your argument, sir, was because they are of a class that would be more likely to commit a crime or have suicide or drug use. Did you testify to that?
That is not the way that that testimony or that report was presented. No,
okay,
I disagree.
So your answer is no. Let's keep it that way. Your answer is no. So you recall, sir, that there was an appeal, and in fact, on the appeal, it was determined that, again, yet again, you were not qualified to offer a relevant opinion because, number one, you never studied the TANF population. Recall that?
No, that is not the correct conceptualization.
Says you. Number two, that you did not survey any data. Recall that, sir?
Specifically in Florida is the nuance on that issue.
And number three, that you had no research whatsoever on the data that you based your opinion on. Would you agree with that, sir?
No.
Do you agree, sir, that the court held that you relied on other researchers' studies and didn't make any effort whatsoever to form an opinion based on your own research? Do you agree with that?
I don't remember the specific language of the court.
All right. Do you recall that ultimately your testimony was stricken?
No, I don't believe that it was stricken.
Okay. In any event, sir, you would agree with me that you have a memory of Avram Mack being subject to this attack, if you will, by the attorneys on behalf of the people that were involved with TANF, right? You remember that much, right?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Thank you. Now, in summary, sir, you're here to testify in front of this jury regarding your testimony and opinion that you've given regarding Lindsay Clancy's state of mind at the time of the killing of her children. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you evaluated her in 2026. Is that right?
Yes.
So you really evaluated her about 3 years after the incident that occurred in January 22, right?
January 2023.
So you do recall the date that the incident occurred, 23, right?
Right. So to answer your question about
the answer is right.
Yeah.
Okay. And in reference to your answer, sir, you would agree with me that there was a significant passage of time between the incident in 2023 and when you saw her about 2 or 3 months ago, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you drove out there with the guy that's going to be in here testifying in about an hour or so, Helbrun. Is it Helbrun or Heilbrun?
When you say that I drove out there,
I'm just asking the guy's name. Is it Helbrun or Heilbrun?
you'll have to ask him how he likes to pronounce it.
Well, did you know how to call him or what to call him when you were out there with him for 2 days at Tewksbury?
Kirk.
Kirk, okay. And you met Kirk, I imagine, that morning that you were going to evaluate Lindsay?
Yes.
And what was the date that you evaluated her? Was it February date?
I think the first date was April 10th.
Okay.
The second date was April 12th. And those were the 2 days that I was there.
Right, because Kirk had to give her psychological testing on the middle day, right?
Correct.
Okay, so did you stay in a hotel or a van, or where'd you stay?
You're asking me where I stayed?
Yeah, I don't want to meet up. I just want to know where you stayed.
I stayed in Massachusetts.
Where?
I believe in Wellesley.
Where? Was it like Holiday Inn? Was it a Ritz-Carlton? Where?
A private home.
A private home, okay. Kirk didn't stay there, did he?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, he didn't stay there. He didn't stay there, that's for sure.
Okay. So in any event, you must have had plans to meet up with Kirk at Tewksbury Hospital, right?
I did meet Dr. Heilbrunn at Tewksbury Hospital, yes.
Okay, I'm calling him Kirk because that's what you told me is that you refer to him as. But it's Dr. Hoffman, how do you pronounce it?
I believe it's Heilbrunn, but you'll have to ask him how he prefers it.
Okay, I will. And then did you meet him in the parking lot of Tewksbury?
Yes, I think that's right.
And
or in
you
the
had,
lobby.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Or in the lobby.
Okay. So when you went there on that date in April, the first day, you already had your information that you were able to form your opinion based upon. Is that right?
At the time that I initiated the examination, I had reviewed records related to Ms. Clancy, but creation of the ultimate opinion.
No. I'm asking about the records, sir. Real simple. The records that you reviewed. You had already reviewed them before you went to Tewksbury Hospital. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And the records would be, obviously, cell phone extraction records, yes?
I don't know exactly when I reviewed those cell phone records.
How about defense expert forensic psychiatric evaluations? Dr. Philip Resnick, Dr. Margaret Spinelli, you reviewed the reports that were already prepared by my experts. Is that correct?
And also Dr. Zeisel.
Zeisel, yeah, thank you. Okay, because I had sent them to you, isn't that right?
You had sent them, I believe, to Dr. Heilbrunn.
To Dr. who? I'm sorry.
I think Dr. Kirk Heilbrunn. And I think he was able to give them to me. Okay,
fine. So you also were able to review Department of Children and Family Records dated February 3rd of 2023, correct?
Correct.
And those would be records that pertained, obviously, after the death of the children, but it was just an interview of Patrick, the father, and Lindsay's husband, right? That's what those were.
That was a substantial component of that, but that was the DCF evaluation that occurred, and they, I believe, interviewed him when he was at Boston Children's Hospital.
Okay, all I'm asking is that the DCF, in other words, there's no DCF records that shows that Lindsay was abusive to her children, right?
I don't think that that was necessarily the conclusion of that report.
Well, it wasn't the conclusion of any report. There were no other reports other than February 3rd, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and that would be interviewing Pat, the father and the husband, right?
As I said, I think effectively that is the core component of that report.
Okay, that's the component of the report. The answer is yes. You also had medical records from Astor Mental Health Records, right?
Yes.
That would be Jennifer Tufts?
Yes.
Jennifer McAllister, right?
I'm not sure if that's the name of another doctor in that practice, but substantially Astor Mental Health included the work of Dr. Tufts.
Dr. Tufts. And how about nurse practitioner Gelada? Did you review her records as well?
The records of hers that came from the organization that she worked in, yes.
What organization was that, do you know?
I'm not exactly recalling the title of it, but I believe it's South Shore Mental Health, but I'm not exactly sure of the exact title.
Boston Children's Hospital, Brigham and Women's Hospital, and McLean Hospital records. You reviewed them, correct?
Yes.
Spalding Rehab, right?
Yep.
Tewksbury Hospital from March 27th of 23 up through April 1st of 26, which is a little bit before you saw Lindsay, right?
Correct.
They were about 7,000 pages, a lot of paper, right?
Yes.
Toxicology records, police reports, grand jury testimony, you read all that too, right?
Correct.
Police interviews of witnesses, right?
Correct.
And you had met with, I imagine, or spoken to, by telephone perhaps, with the district attorneys, the prosecutors here.
Yes.
And where did you meet them?
The prosecutors?
Yeah.
Only by phone.
Okay, so you met them by phone. When was that?
I don't know offhand when that was.
How long was the conversation?
I don't recall. It could have been somewhere between 15 minutes to 45 minutes.
And basically they told you that they wanted you to evaluate a defendant who had been indicted for triple homicide of her own children by the name of Lindsay Clancy. You knew that from speaking with them, right?
Effectively, I knew that, yes.
And, you know, I normally don't go there with expert witnesses, but it was fair game on Dr. Zeisel. How much money do you make a year on your forensic evaluations?
It ranges over the years, several $100,000 of dollars.
Yeah.
Can be a few.
And a lot of that,
more.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So a lot of that would be appointed cases or cases either from Park Dietz or some other warehouse that asks you to evaluate people and testify in the court, right?
Or over the years, people contact me directly.
Really?
We're talking about over the last 15 to 20 years.
Right. So when you were contacted by, strike that, did the DAs here call you or did you call them?
I don't recall.
Do you recall that they told you what a horrible case this was, that this woman killed her 3 children by strangling them? Did they tell you that?
Sustained. Next question.
Well, did you know what the factual allegations were of the case? Yes or no?
Well, all the factual allegations, yes, I believe they were conveyed to me during a phone call.
Yeah. Okay. And when you were engaged or retained through Park Dietz and Associates to work for the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office, I mean, that's fair to say. You were working for them, right?
Effectively, I was retained by the District Attorney's Office, yes.
All right. And let's talk about confirmatory bias. You know what that is?
Well, you were asking me the other day about the cognitive bias think tank, and we talked about how, as a part of my work in patient safety.
No. This is Dr.
I would like to deal
Hold on,
with
doctor, please listen to the question and answer the question. Go ahead.
This is confirmatory bias, sir, not a think tank talking about safety of anybody, okay? Confirmatory bias. Have you heard of that term?
I have.
And what does it mean?
Well, if you're talking about the work in diagnosis in medicine, as I was getting at before, it refers to the idea that an individual has an idea as to what they're aiming for, and they gather information that accedes to that and that brings that point together.
Okay. So would you agree with me, sir, that when you are retained in your practice, working whether it's for Dietz or somebody else, and you are engaged by a prosecutor, such as the Plymouth County DA's office, is it fair to say that you go into your work and your evaluation, and I hesitate to use the word investigation, but you have a confirmatory bias? You're hoping that you're going to be able to help them out, right?
No.
No. Okay. So you had read all this material, you had spoken with the prosecutors, and I imagine you had done a team back with Kirk Heilbrunn, right?
A what?
You talked to Kirk Heilbrunn about the fact that you guys were going to go in and evaluate Lindsay, right?
We had worked with the prosecutors, and I believe them with you.
No, you didn't. Excuse me. You didn't work with me. What do you mean? You didn't work with me.
I imagine there was interactions in terms of setting up the dates on which this would occur.
I had nothing to do with it. My office manager, Laura Mather, would have done that. I had nothing to do with it, sir.
Yeah, okay, next question.
So when you went out there on the 2 days that you went out, forget the middle day, because that's when Kurt was by himself. When you went out there, the two of you met in the parking lot or the lobby, one or the other, correct?
Yes.
Yes?
I said yes.
And the purpose was to go interview her, right?
Ms. Clancy, yes.
So you guys go down the hallway, you go in the elevator, you go upstairs to the locked wards, they have to open the door, they have orderlies and people that escort you. Is that right?
Yes.
You have to sign in, you have to have ID because it's a locked ward, right?
Effectively, yes.
Effectively. And the two of you, you and Kirk, go into a room where she's sitting in her wheelchair by herself so that you two of you can interview her. Is that correct?
Yes.
For how many hours did you interview her the first time?
First day, it was roughly ended up being about, I think, 4 or 5 hours.
And have in mind, sir, as counsel has already elicited, she's incontinent. She has issues because of being paralyzed and had to have a break, didn't she?
She did not ask for a break.
Oh, she was able to power through the 4 hours?
I don't know if that's the appropriate way to frame it. We took a break. During the interview, we discussed the schedule that she has for catheterization, if that's your question.
So you and Kirk Heilbrunn sat down and you questioned Lindsay, the both of you together or one at a time, or how'd that work out?
One would ask questions, and if another one had additional questions to ask about that particular topic, then the other would ask. And
she was, fair to say, she was pretty cooperative with you guys, right?
Yes.
She was polite, she was affable, right?
Yes.
She answered your questions, right?
Yes.
And then when you concluded that first day, then the next day, Kurt Heilbrunn went on his own to Tewksbury and had another multi-hour interrogation, questioning, or whatever of Lindsay, right?
He was there for a second day for psychological testing.
So you're aware of the fact that he was there for psychological testing, right?
Yes.
Now, a psychiatrist doesn't do psychological testing. The psychologist does, right?
Typically, that's true.
And there are a number of tests that are administered to people when they are being evaluated for purposes of a criminal case such as this, right?
There is a number of different tests that test different aspects of an individual's psychiatric or psychologic or cognitive functioning.
Right. Like, for example, you want to determine, I would imagine, whether or not they're lying or exaggerating or minimizing their symptoms, right?
That's always an interest, yes.
And it's of interest because if a person is, in fact, masking or lying about their mind, trying to fake out an evaluating forensic psychiatrist or psychologist, when you say that's of interest, that's something that can be a test result that a jury could look at, right?
Well, I'm not sure if there's a test that specifically states a person is lying.
No. You ever heard of the MMPI?
I have.
Okay. You ever heard of the K-scale?
Yes.
What is that?
Well, the K-scale is among the internal validity scales of the MMPI. The MMPI is an assessment of the individual's personality.
Okay. So let's focus on the K-scale, sir. When you say that it's a, let me ask you again, what is your understanding of what the K-scale is seeking to find out?
I answer this in the context of the purpose of the MMPI and what the MMPI is designed.
What are you smiling for? This is not funny, sir.
Sustained. Next
Well,
question.
you know,
Next question.
MMPI, K-scale, focus. What does it mean, sir?
So the MMPI is an assessment of personality, and it is a set of questions that the individual responds to provide the test and to provide the user of the test to understand what is their personality like. The K-scale is a set of questions embedded in the MMPI that are designed to see whether or not the individual is exaggerating in their responses, generally speaking.
Okay. Or lying, right? They call the K-scale the lie scale, right?
Well, if you're simply referring to your own personality style, the issue is whether or not the answers are reliable or valid. It's not a matter of assessing if the person is lying on the MMPI.
Does the MMPI assess to any degree whether or not a person is lying, in your opinion?
No.
No? So let's stay with Dr. Mack's opinion on the K-scale. What would that do? It would determine if somebody is not being truthful about their symptoms or they're exaggerating their symptoms?
Well, the MMPI assesses the individual's personality and their thoughts about themselves. So the question is how to get an accurate reading of the person's personality. If it is the case that they are having a deviation on the K-scale, then you might not utilize the MMPI as a whole. But the MMPI is not designed, in a sense, as a lie detector.
So what does that mean, sir, when you say if there's a manipulation of the K-scale? What does that mean?
I don't think I used the word manipulation.
What word did you use?
I may have said deviation.
Okay. So if there's a deviation on the K-scale, according to you, what does that mean?
It may come to a threshold that the MMPI is not usable, and
because
the users cannot gather information about the individual's personality as a result.
Because they're lying, and it's not a reliable test, right? That's the ultimate consideration, right?
Right. So it's not saying that the person is lying. It's saying that the test is not reliable.
Because the person who's the subject of the test is not being, let's say, forthright. Is that fair?
I don't know that it's always necessarily a conscious act. An individual, it simply reflects the tendency the individual has when answering the questions that are on that subpart of the test.
Okay, so if somebody has been indicted by the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office for triple murder, and you are working for the DA, evaluating whether or not they are suffering from a mental disease or defect, would you agree with me, sir, that there may be a tendency for somebody to exaggerate their symptoms to try to paint a positive picture of themselves?
Overrule.
Not necessarily.
Well, how about a little bit necessarily?
I don't know that there's a relationship.
Okay. So you are aware, regardless, that when Lindsay took the test for Dr. Kirk Halbrun, that there was no indication whatsoever of any malingering, exaggeration, or anything along those lines in that test. Would you agree with that?
If you're talking about the MMPI, correct.
That's what we've been talking about. I don't know. We're looking at each other.
I wasn't sure if he was going to answer, but why don't you ask the next
Yeah, okay. So you, tell me again what your answer was, sir?
That effectively, that's what the testing elicited, that her K scale effectively, that it was a valid test.
Okay. Now, you, in your review of all of the records, Tufts, Gelada, McLean, you knew that one of the health care providers, which would be Gelada, was focusing on the possibility that Lindsay could have been suffering from bipolar 2. Is that right?
I am aware that that was on her mind, that was something she was concerned about, yes.
And bipolar 2 is quite common, is it not, sir, as a precursor of a person who is suffering from postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, right?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, well, how about, is it appropriate in Dr. Mack's opinion to give a person suffering from bipolar 2 or bipolar 1 an SSRI?
An individual, there is a need in one's practice, traditionally at least, that if an individual might be suffering from bipolar 1 or bipolar 2, to avoid using SSRI medications. However, that has been reduced in terms of our worry about that over time, but that was maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, something that psychiatrists were more concerned about, but the concern has lessened over time.
It has. So in your opinion, sir, it's okay to give a woman who is coming to you for help, who's been diagnosed with a bipolar 2, it's okay to give her the SSRI, in your opinion. Is that what you're telling this jury?
That's not what I said.
Oh, okay. Tell me what you said.
I said the concern about the relationship between SSRIs and mania or bipolar disorder has lessened, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people's practices have changed.
And when you say mania, what does that mean to you, sir?
Mania is a state defined in the DSM. I believe we discussed this the other day.
Well, go ahead. What is it? What are the symptoms of mania?
So mania is a condition, and it's defined not only by the symptoms that I'm going to mention, but also by a time frame. And as we discussed the other day, it is a mood state that is used as a building block for bipolar type 1. So one would need to see 7 days consecutive, and where the following symptoms, 4 at least of the following symptoms are present most of the day for all of these days. And that would include a thought process called flight of ideas. Secondly, distractibility. Thirdly, an engagement in activities that are pleasurable but have painful consequences. Rapid speech, or what we would call pressured speech.
Pressured speech.
Or rapid speech. Additionally, grandiosity and an exaggerated amount or excess degree of goal-directed behavior.
And what is your... go ahead.
Go ahead.
What is your understanding, sir, of the symptoms of bipolar 2?
So bipolar 2, well, we didn't finish the definition of bipolar 1, but in terms of bipolar type 2, one would need to have had a major depressive episode. I believe we discussed that the other day as well. And also one needs to have had what's called a hypomanic episode, which is similar to a manic episode, but lesser in terms of time course that's required, and only 3 out of the 7 symptoms are required.
So bipolar 2, you would agree with me, sir, is in fact a major or a serious mental illness, right?
Yes.
And your opinion, after you had your opportunity to go back again with Kirk on the third day and interview Lindsay in Tewksbury Hospital, and how long did you interview her for the third day, asking her questions?
I'm not sure I remember. It was perhaps 3 hours.
So after you completed your evaluation, you came to a conclusion that, in fact, Lindsay was suffering from a major mental disease or defect, to wit, bipolar 2. Is that correct?
No.
No.